checking out the Sportsline Podcast on CHCH and Parrot TV. I'm Bubba O'Neill. Well, as we love to brag and boast, I say that all the time, but we love to speak about and uncover amazing sports stories from Southern Ontario, and in particular, the Golden Horseshoe. That's why we're here. On June 15th, the Burlington Sport Alliance will host their 20th annual Recognition of Sports Excellence Awards, and it's a program will be held at the Burlington Convention Centre. As the Burlington Sports Hall of Fame honors those who have mostly completed their career, the BSA annually honors the community's top athletes. In addition, administrators, coaches, officials, and volunteers are honored. To give us the finer details, let's say hello to the BSA's past chair and current treasurer, I say that, Paul Tomlinson. How are you, partner?
Just fine, thank you.
Well, Burlington kind of guy, another Burlington kind of guy. It's great to talk about sports in Burlington, which, as you well know, is on the rise, and the growth is incredible.
I've seen it over the years, absolutely. Really? When I started in sports, I was, the only rink in town was down on New Street. It's now a Drury Theater.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that something? It's changed so much. Hey, first of all, as we get into a little bit of history, it sounds like this is a 20th year anniversary celebration for you guys right now. Tell me about the Sport Alliance. Like, where did it all start? Why did it start?
Why did it start? It started it was the brainchild of Mary Nickel, whose daughter received a high school sports award, and Mary felt that it was very low key and they deserved something more. So this was about when was it? Anyway.
Way back.
Way back when. So she got some friends together and she asked me, but I was tied up at the time with gymnastics, and so I didn't join until about 2004. Mm-hmm. 2005.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to just start to interrupt there. You talked about gymnastics. What did you do?
Well, my son was in gymnastics. I took gymnastics in elementary school, and I enjoyed gymnastics in high school, but at that, I didn't even realize that was a competitive sport. I just did it for the love of it. My son actually got into competitive gymnastics and spent a whole career at it.
Well, the Sport Alliance, they've certainly done a great job over the years. They've gained, I think, recognition. I know when I look at some of the past award winners, it's unbelievable to me. Some of them I didn't even know were Burlingtonians. It's amazing to see what happens, and the fact that so many of these athletes and, as we said, coaches, executives, they've all gone on to do amazing things. When you go to an award ceremony like this, what's the feeling for you when you see, what's going on in terms of all these athletes being recognized?
Well, for me, it's very frustrating to put it all together because it's over a 9-month effort. And the bottom line is sitting there at the table watching these young people go up there and receive their accolades is very heartwarming, very heartwarming.
There's a process to all of this happening, and that's through nominations. Can you explain to so many of us, and if I knew absolutely nothing about this award ceremony, how do we show this recognition to so many of these athletes and individuals that have contributed to sport in Burlington?
How do we show it?
Yeah, how do we get involved? I know there's a nomination process.
Okay, yes. Actually, the hardest part is getting that word out that we are accepting nominations. We have a website that they can go to. We try to advertise in local media. The loss of the Post was a significant loss to us because a lot of people from Burlington will read the Spectator, but they don't. The Post covered local sports, and it was much better coverage. And so now we're kind of at a standstill in that we don't know who's out there and who to try and get people to nominate.
Well, you've come to the right place on the Sportsline Podcast on CHCH to get the word out, and we will certainly let people know about this. So, so again, we see so you go on the webpage on Burlington Sport Alliance, and I guess there's a selection of awards and what you just nominate, and what would be the criteria for nomination?
Well, the criteria is it's all laid out on the website, but primarily for all the athletes, it's what they have accomplished in the past 12 months since our time frame. It's a fiscal year. It's from the end of June to the beginning of June, or shall we say the May. So things that happen over the summertime are included in next year's eligibility.
And many of the awards too, I mean, they're very gender friendly, I guess is what I would say.
Yes, we have male and female categories and all those athletic categories.
So let's do this. And what I think is really neat. There are so many great awards, and I guess we can't go through all of them, but I got like 4 or 5 of them or whatever. I'll leave it up to you to tell us what they're all about. So let's start with the Junior Athlete of the Year. What would encompass to be or to win Junior Athlete of the Year, as so many of these young people have won awards over the years?
Well, Junior Athlete would be 14 and under, and whatever they've accomplished over the past 12 months. They could be brand new to the sport and have a very good year and could be eligible. It's not a matter of putting in years of experience, but that helps.
And it's any sport too, right?
Any sport at all. That's right.
What about on the other side, the Masters Athletes of the Year?
Okay, the Masters athletes are those that have gone beyond the regular adult athlete section. Now, that is a very tricky one in that we are only supposed to recognize those that are in a sport that is recognized by the Masters Program of Canada.
Oh.
And there's only about 2 categories in Burlington that I know of that fall into that category, and Masters swimmers would be the one.
Is there actual age that I could say you would be a Masters?
It depends on the sport.
Oh, okay.
But I would guess probably in the 50s.
So swimming, maybe golf, tennis,
Yes.
maybe?
Yes.
Those are the sports that would be involved? Interesting. I'm really happy to see that everyone's recognized here, and the Para-Athletes of the Year is a good one.
Yes. The para-athletes is, it took a while, and we made a couple of problems along the way trying to distinguish, but we now, I think, have the pattern down pat, and separating them from the Special Olympians. We have the para-athletes, both male and female.
I like that you just brought that up there, because we are having the Special Olympics Athlete of the Year. What would be the designation between the two, leaning towards the Special Olympics Athlete of the Year?
The Special Olympians are usually ones that are in the shall we say the group of there's a club, or shouldn't say a club, there's an organization of Burlington Special Olympians, started actually by Dr. Hayden, Burlington, and he was the one Burlington resident who started actually the Special Olympian organization, and was called down to Washington by John F. Kennedy's mother to start the program down there. And he felt that he would not betraying, but there was just too much to be involved. He didn't mind them following his pattern, but he stayed up here in Canada.
Just again, another amazing individuals that set the tone here in our local area, and with recognition for particular sport. And I guess one of those persons would be AJ Dunn, because there's an AJ Dunn Sports Person of the Year.
Absolutely. Now, the AJ Dunn was started much earlier, like maybe 20 years before us, by the city itself, and was handed out. They used to have about 4 or 5 civic awards, and sports was covered by the AJ Dunn. When we started up in 2004, the city approached us and asked if we would take over the running of this AJ Dunn award for the city.
Well, I'm looking at some of those names. I got to admit, some of these are right up my pipe here. Murray Drinkwater.
Oh, yeah.
What a piece of work that guy is.
Oh, yes, and he's still very active.
Don McMillan, God bless his soul. I did lots of work with him in my very, very early cable days of television. Lisa Turbot, I know so much about her. Just tremendous names certainly on that list in terms of past winners. And that's just a couple over the last last decade or two. We know that the strength of local sports is sometimes not only the athletes, it's not only the officials, it's not only the organizers. A lot of times it's the volunteers, and it's great that the volunteers will be recognized.
Absolutely. Working with the Burlington Boys Gymnastics Club before I got involved with the Sport Alliance, we had many connections with the American sport, and the clubs down there are all privately owned and financed, whereas up here we had to finance our own, and each one was independent and sort of worked in a silo.
Isn't it amazing to you that over your years of watching sports, and I'll expand it more than just Burlington, right in the Golden Horseshoe, I can think of events like the Canadian Open being held here, or even or just like even something like a soccer championship for kids in Oakville or whatever the case is. How many people, St. Catherine's, the rowing event, how many volunteers? And it's never an issue. People just sort of flock to want to help when it comes to sport. It says something about our community.
Yes, it does.
It really does, eh? Champion of Sport Award. That's a biggie.
Yeah, Champion of Sport actually is morphed into the Coach of the Year.
Okay.
It started off as Champion of Sport, and we're in the process of just directing it strictly towards the coach.
Between the coaches, again, who give up all kinds of hours and dedication to their sport, dedication to so many of the kids. Again, look at some of these names, guys. Mark Juris, an outstanding hockey player in his time, again, lending out all that he's experienced on the ice. I look at Vern Lusick, boy, wow, unbelievable basketball individual in this area. Pearson, Lester B. Pearson High School, again, legendary names. And that's interesting. I do believe those coaches, who, again, in a lot of cases, are doing this on a volunteer basis as well, too.
Absolutely.
The official of the year. Do we really have to give the officials a year? Like, do they deserve anything? We don't want to hear from the Stripes, do we?
You'd be surprised, and they would. They really enjoy the recognition. They really do, because everybody does not give them their due. And that was the last award that we created. And I sat down with a few people trying to get the background for it, and we've relied primarily on the Lakeshore Road or Lakeshore officials Rotary thing to help us out there. Walter Drinkwater came from there, and Ron McVinney. I went to school with Ron
Skinny McVinney.
Skinny McVinney, yeah.
These are classic names in our area, and folks, if you've played any sort of high school sports in this area, you know all about all of those names. And Jason Maggio, a guy who started really, really young too, and has gone through the Foxcross. There's legendary in this area as well too. Again, I'm just kind of jiving on you officials. At the end of the day, if we don't have any of these individuals and ones before them, if there is no officials, we don't have a game.
That's right.
Plain and simple. So we got to give those guys their due. This is going to be a great night, and I think we should just kind of go through. I just want to just throw up a board here of the night, what people are to expect, how do we get tickets, because this is going to be an unbelievable night.
Yes. It started off as a sit-down 3-course dinner, but it's morphed over into right now mainly because of the costs, which were significant during the pandemic. 3 years we lost. This actually would be our 23rd, I guess, edition, but we did not do it for 3 years.
Right.
And coming back, it was just too expensive, so we've changed it to just a hors d'oeuvres and sort of a bit of a get together before we make the presentations.
I like that, because it ends up being a meet and greet, and I think so many of these people, it's an opportunity. Maybe it might be the only 1 or 2 times a year that you see some particular people in a grouping set like this, which I think it's always fun. You can tell the stories 50 times over and over, and you laugh just as hard.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a special kind of night. Look, really appreciate you coming here to the Sportsline Podcast to let us know about what's going on. Again, unfortunately, as you did say, hey, the realities of media nowadays, it's shrinking, but we here at CHCH always like to do what we can for as many as our local athletes and athletic events are going on. So anything you have you want us to promote, please let us know. And it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely. Okay, I appreciate that very much.
All right, thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking local sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline Podcast, do want to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have something to say. Hey, write it down. Let us know. For the outstanding people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, all you in the control room, thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.